Welcome everybody to MogTalk, episode 292 at this point. I have some wonderful guests here with me today to talk about a cool topic we all kind of share, an experience that we all went through in some way or another, and just have a good fun conversation about it. If you guys are unfamiliar with MogTalk, it's a show based around the Final Fantasy XIV community discussing everything from Savage Raiding to Chocobo Racing to complaining about Party Finder, as that one YouTuber says every single show. That's fine. We'll find a way to fit it in here. Before we get too much further, I want each of you to kind of introduce yourself, and if you wouldn't mind, Rook, to take the lead here, tell everybody kind of who you are.
Hi, yeah, I'm Rook, and I'm here to complain about Party Finder.
Yes.
Kidding. Hi, everybody, I'm Rook or Rookuri. You might recognize me from a lot of the other stuff Frosty does, including the World Races. I was really bummed to not be able to be a part of this last Criterion one, but it looks like it was a blast, and I'll be there. Next one, Frosty, I'll be there next one. But it's so good to be back on MogTalk again and here with everyone. I'm a content creator myself. I focus mostly on Final Fantasy XIV and also a couple other MMOs here or there, but I really just love the game. I love the story, the lore. I do all the content in it from casual to hardcore, including role-playing. That's right, you heard me. And a little something happened that kind of brought us all together, right? That was that we all commentated PvP or something at FanFest?
Maybe maybe I don't know. We're all full of ourselves. That could be the other thing that's in common.
No, don't say that. We're all extremely humble. Don't listen to this man.
I don't know.
We'll figure out somewhere along the line if it was a fever dream or not.
Yeah.
It does feel like a fever dream.
It does, actually.
I know, right? But I am so happy to be here, Frosty, and really excited to get to chat with all of you because this is a wild experience that we've all had now. So.
Yeah. All right. Brian, can you tell everybody who you are as well?
Sure, my name is Brian Ricardo. I'm a content creator on Twitch. I focus on Final Fantasy XIV PvP, but I do other competitive games, like fighting games from time to time. And I've been part of the community for like 5 or 6 years, or maybe even more at this point. But you can find me doing commentary for PvP, coaching, anything really, community events, and yeah, happy to be here.
Yeah, I'm glad to have you here, my buddy. He was my co-commentator at NA.
Yeah.
All right. Lythi, tell everybody who you are.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Lythi.
All right, let's start the show.
Jokes aside, hey, I'm an esports shoutcaster. I do a bunch of stuff. I do some League of Legends, some Valorant, this other MMO called World of Warcraft every now and then. But of course, also the one or other Final Fantasy thing, and sometimes I help Frosty lose his sanity on these World Race projects and do some stuff over there. And yeah, usually you just catch me yelling at my screen for whatever really game people let me do it. So yeah, hi, very happy to be here.
In this group, if I was going to rank us here, Lythi has the most overall commentary experience.
You got me really nervous for a second. I thought you were going to be like, if I was going to rank who's the best here.
Best? Yeah, me? No. Lythi has like tons of just general overbroad, not overbroad, I guess broad experience with commentating.
I've been doing esports for I think 5.5 years now, and I've covered every level of competition, from like smallest community tournaments with like 5 viewers up to World Championship finals for Valorant, for example, on the German broadcast. So I've seen a lot of stuff, good and bad.
And I would say, past that, Lythi also helps lead all the commentary that we do for the World Races currently for Final Fantasy. At first, he came on as just a commentator and evolved into this lead role for all of our commentary that we do with the Savage and Ultimate Races so far, and it's been a blast having him aboard. And his expertise has helped out quite a bit. So
I like how you're able to make your juggling time zones on a fucking spreadsheet sound really good.
It is so difficult. What's BST +1, Lythi?
Oh my god, don't remind me.
my gosh.
All right,
Look,
but-
it's actually a huge accomplishment, those spreadsheets. So don't undersell yourself.
yeah. Oh gosh, but it's great to have all of you here. I mean, like, we all went to FanFest and we did the shoutcasting, the commentary on stage, and it's a stressful situation to be in. I would think almost no matter the experience, just trying to figure it all out. This isn't something that happens a lot. Square Enix doesn't do a lot of in-person events for PvP or competitive commentary like events at all. I mean, Gillionaire kind of counts a little bit, I guess, as a PvP event, right?
That was PvP. Lythi and I 1v1'd each other, and it was not pretty, and I'm gonna get you next time.
I'm pretty sad I couldn't be there. I was there for the online one back before Endwalker. And so I had a little bit of jealousy. I was like, man, I should be up there. But then I remembered how badly I lost and how I did everything horribly. I was like, you know what? Maybe it's okay I wasn't there. I don't need to showcase my stupidity any more than I already have. So, you know.
you just go in with the plan to make the most memes possible. Everything else does not matter.
Man, I'm too try hard. If I was there, I would be studying so hard.
I couldn't, man. I just can't fit that stuff in my brain. I just can't do it. And they come up with some really wild questions sometimes that, you know,
They weren't as bad as they could have been. They weren't as bad as they could have been, is all I'm going to say.
Have I shown you the cipher question Kevin gave us in preparation for the event? I'll need to get that to you at some point, Frosty.
Okay.
You can take a look. It's very fun.
So
it took me 50 minutes
okay.
with hints to figure out. It was
50
minutes. 50
you
minutes,
all thought it was bad to try to figure out what primes are in the raid, in the 24-man raid. This was literally like a mathematical calculation that was just dropped in for our preview questions. It was brutal. It was brutal.
Oh, yeah, I know. Kevin was competing in the EU FanFest back in Paris a while back.
Yeah.
And now he's on board working for Square Enix. and it's crazy to just keep remembering that. Like, I was commentating over this guy playing on stage back in the day, and he's worked his way up to where he is now. And I think he did a pretty good job over there. Wouldn't you guys say? Yeah.
Definitely,
Yeah.
Kevin is a gem and a treasure, and we love him.
He's so sweet. He worked so hard. Honestly,
he had
I mean,
so much.
Oh, you both know too, like we all know, either EU or NA, seeing how much the community team works on these fan fests is just staggering. Like, you know it's a lot of work, but when you actually witness it and you're just sitting there going, have any of you slept? When was the last time you ate? Are you okay? And it's just because they love it so much. Like, they're so passionate about it and making it the best that they can. It's incredible.
Yeah. And it's a humbling experience. I can tell you, you know, Brian and I, when we were doing the EU one and we were going backstage and everything, and we were just seeing everyone working their asses off. I was trying to say to myself, asses, we're working their asses off, because they were. All right. It was like every single moment I was like, I'm only going to take up as much as you need me to. Right. I don't care. Otherwise, just get your stuff done. Try to survive the week, because it's not a pleasure cruise for them. They don't get to come and party like the rest of us. Like Brian and I, we just had our small little part during that event, and then after that, we're just like hanging out, chatting with people, and everything else, right? And so, but they have to be on for like the entire time, basically.
The best part, or the biggest part, is what people not attending didn't even see. Kevin and Julia were actually dancing for the long fall during the Primals concert afterwards as well, so they had to prep that on top of everything as well.
Yeah. We didn't know that they were going to do that over at NA. But I was working really hard on all that. Reinhardt was in the background working a ton on it. Sorry, I'm trying to remember the exact one. Is it Okiomi? Is that
Mm-hmm.
She goes by so many names. Oh
Yeah,
my God,
okay.
Danielle. Yeah.
Yeah.
Danielle.
Yeah.
Danielle, they were working really hard on doing so many panels during the event themselves, right? While also trying to get us into a good spot to where we felt comfortable and we could do stuff for the PvP event. And it's not a small thing. Like a lot of those stage events, now, granted, the concert's pretty big. You got to get instruments set up everywhere and do a big rock concert and all this stuff. The presentations, you have kind of table set up, mic set up, and the screen set up. The PvP setup, you have to get computer set up in there. You have to get all that done like really quickly and get it all organized in a perfect manner to where it just doesn't go, nothing goes wrong between all these other panels. So it's one of the heavier lifts, I think, out of all the stuff that they had outside of the concert. I can't can't compete with that. But yeah, I don't know. I'm super impressed with them and what they were able to do. Now, the EU one, I'm a little bit jealous that you guys only had the 5,000 people. Because I feel like that would have been much fun, so much more fun and intimate. I don't know. Like, there's so many people at NA that it was just hard to just manage. For me, it felt like. Rook, you were there, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because NA, I think the times when the crowd was the most overwhelming was when I walked in for the keynote, like that morning, like when I'm sure those of us who were at NA remember walking in and just seeing an endless ocean of people because the sheer amount of people that were there, it was incredible. It was staggering. It was gorgeous.
Right.
I turned to my partner and I was like, all of Limsa is here live. I was like, amazing. It was so great. But really the only other times that I think I felt that like huge wave of people was with a lot of the line stuff or with like the merch area. In those cases, it was really overwhelming. It was funny because with EU Fan Fest, even though the audience was smaller, the venue itself, like, it felt like it was still like a really big group, like everything was really well filled out. There were a lot of activities and things to do. All the zones, there were like a ton of different things that you could do in them. And every single kind of zone had its own little like seating area too, so that you could sit down and relax and do all kinds of things. There was like the crafting stations. And yet it didn't feel like markedly less people. It still felt like the space was really filled out. And like with the audience itself, it still felt like, oh, this is like a big group of people in like this big, huge group. So yeah, I didn't really notice too much the feeling of the difference other than in those like select moments.
To be fair, I think the only reason nothing got really super overcrowded was the fact that 90% of the people felt, at least it felt like it, were lining up for the info desk and the merch.
It does filter a lot of people out. I'll be honest with you. It have people lined up for a whole bunch of other stuff, and you can kind of just go find the stuff that other people aren't doing. I did 0 activities while I was there. I know they have a lot of things that you could do. Yeah. There's just no way. I was like, I could spend time standing in a line for an activity or take this moment to go find somebody and talk to them, right? And that meant so much more to me than going and doing any activity. I know they work hard on it and everything else, but it's just not something that I've always said this. If they just rented out a convention center and it was just tables and chairs and that was it, and every once in a while they'd come up on stage and talk, it'd still be just as good to me, personally.
Probably, yeah. I did the battle challenge at NA.
Did you?
Yeah, I did that too.
Yeah, I pretty much did staff privilege. I was like, can I join my friends group? And they let me, so I didn't have to wait in a line for it.
Yeah. I felt bad about that. I still have my badge here. I didn't cut it. I still got it right here. All right.
Nice.
And so I felt bad any moment during it being like, hey, I can't just go through. I didn't want to do that at all because I didn't want to. It felt like I'd be taking advantage or abusing it at that point. But at the same time, a lot of your time gets taken up and you have to like show up and take away time that you would have spent doing other stuff if you weren't working the event. So it kind of tries to make up for a little bit of that, but Man, Lythi, this was the first fan fest you've been to, right?
Yes, yeah. This was my
Ooh.
first ever FanFest experience. It was quite something.
How does it compare to like a lot of the other events that you've gone to?
So the only other kind of big conventions I've really been to is stuff like Gamescom, right? And of course, like your local anime cosplay conventions, stuff
Right.
like that. But that's not really the same. So this was the first time ever I attended a convention just specifically for one specific thing, and it's just such a completely different vibe with having every single person around you with at least one common interest, and everyone is like into the same thing. It's quite the difference from just being somewhere else where people generally are just around, not even necessarily for something you even care about, just because everything is in the same location. So it was awesome. It was really, really awesome.
Yeah. And for me, it's always surreal. I'm gonna be honest, like completely,
Yes.
like you never really expect to get humbled by something by seeing so many people who are just happy, right? Everyone's just happy. there's there's little grievances here and there, but everyone's just excited because they're in this event that is like it's not easy to get into these events because they can only have so many people go to it. Back in the day when the 2014 FanFest happened, you had a couple hours maybe to get tickets or so. When they were just, you went online, they're like, okay, buy it, and it sells. I was like, okay. And then it was like minutes. Then it was seconds. And then they're like, okay, we got to do a lottery. We don't know how to really make this fair for people. And it's unfortunate we've kind of gotten to that point, but just so many people who want to be there. And there's, it's all Square Enix can really do to make the best of the situation. But everyone who does go really, really wanted to go, right? It wasn't like people who, was like, I guess I'll go. I got a chance to go. Whatever, I'll make it out there. Most people went because they were, and there's always going to be a couple little, angry, just out of nowhere for why are you even here? But 99% of the people there are all just high spirits. Like, this is fun. Oh, look, it's a Grahatia cosplay. Squeal and then run towards it, right? And so that's like most of the crowd that you're dealing with, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah,
I do want to go to a Gamescom one day. I do.
Same.
It's a pretty big deal.
It's quite an experience to be at Gamescom. Yes.
Yeah. I know Final Fantasy 14 has been at Gamescom before, or was it DreamHack that they were at?
Yes.
No, they've been at Gamescom.
Yeah.
Okay. Who was it? It was Jess that was moderating back then, right? Yeah, she moderated.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's how I got to know Jess in the first place. Until I ran into her again on the MogTalk team. Yeah.
Wow.
Met her at Gamescom 2019. It's the first time I like really got to interact with like the Final Fantasy side of the convention, basically. Also, where I got my first picture with Yoshi P. So
Nice.
yeah, coming full circle now. It's kind of funny.
So how was Yoshi P behind the scenes for you guys over at EU?
Busy.
He spoke entirely in English perfectly.
Oh, okay,
He
got it.
monologued the whole time. No, I mean, it's funny because it is. I mean, you probably had a similar experience, I would assume, right? Yoshida-san is an incredibly important figure. He has a lot that he is doing, and it was funny because there were times where we'd be backstage and I just like turn and like, oh, there's Yoshida-san. And he's just like standing there, he's just getting ready for whatever. But more often than not, he's kind of like heralded by a small fleet of his like Japanese team that's just surrounding him and kind of shuffling him from point A to point B or whatever he has to do. I didn't find him to be at all pretentious or anything like that, though. I've had people ask me, was it a Meet Your Heroes kind of pitfall where you realize that he's different? And I was like, no, he's very much how I expected. Like, he's very relaxed. he, just is very happy to be there. Like, with all the events and things, he's so immersed in it. He cares very much about things being meticulously correct. But like his entire schedule for the whole weekend is planned to a T. So it's not like you just walk up to him and just start chatting away. Like he has this big team around him. And when we did get to interact, a lot of times it was working with them because even backstage, right, he, again, it speaks Japanese primarily. I'm not sure how much English he actually speaks because I'm sure he speaks more than he
Oh yeah,
he does
100%.
on stage, like
Yeah.
100%. But even backstage and things, he'd be communicating mostly. But he was so happy to meet the PvP teams and excited to shake our hand. And we, were able to arrange a picture with him ourselves. And yeah, so he was pretty much how I expected. Very relaxed, in control, very important, lots of people kind of buzzing around him, but not at all pretentious about it. And like clearly he loves the game and he loves these events, and you could see him light up for the fans and just really want things to be absolutely the best they could be.
Yeah. I've had the luck of doing this. This was my third time going on stage for the EU. Well, not in the EU, but for FanFest PvP stuff before, right? So I've had the luck of running into him and interacting with him, and every single time he's just kind and nice, and he's just like, "Thank you for being here and thank you for doing this," right? And it is so humbling, and you can't be mad, right? Sometimes you like. You play the game and you're like, this sucks, this system sucks, or this is horrible, and you get frustrated at the game or something. Throw all that in the trash immediately. You lose all negativity, it's gone. Everything's excused due to the kindness that Yoshida will show you in person. And I think a lot of people experience that even if they're not working behind the scenes and with them and everything else. If they just see him in person, he's just so friendly, literally, to everybody. I remember we had a small interaction about the check and just having him sign it, and I talked to him a little bit about what he was going to do and everything, and I think what was it, and right, I don't know if you were around when I did a recap of it. I went back and watched our show, and I assumed, by the way, everything was miserable, horrible, went as bad as it could be, and I looked miserable. And I was just like, I did my best. I'm gonna assume it went bad on stream. And then I went back and I was like, man, that was not that bad. That was okay.
Okay.
But at the very end, I was convincing Brian to give me a high five in that circle as we were leaving the stage, and I forced him to come back, and then we did the high five. I went back to see if they caught it.
It's there.
It was there. The 1 second, like it goes from us, zooms in on Aya, and you could see the circle behind him, and our hands collide.
I clipped it.
It was so good. And then immediately after that, I was just so high on energy, and Yoshida was sitting there clapping. I just like tackle hugged him. He just like embraced it, and it was great. It was great. But yeah, I've seen Yoshida a handful of these times, and every single time he's the exact same as you guys are talking about. He's just a nice guy, which is just so weird. You assume you're a jaded, cynical person like me. You see someone, they're a CEO or they're like a director or production person, they're being nice on stage. You're like, oh, that's their stage face. And then you just assume they're, a jerk behind the scenes or whatever. And it doesn't carry, but it carries past that a lot.
Yeah, he's very authentic the whole way through, basically. That's really nice to see.
Mm-hmm. But that all being said, this was all surrounded about doing this for PvP as well. And Final Fantasy XIV PvP community has been growing like crazy in Endwalker. Like it's just like it just keeps getting bigger and bigger. Brian, you remember back in the feast days, man, getting a light party event. That was like
hard.
between months. Someone had to like get it together and try to like make something happen. But now it's like every weekend there is an event going on of some sort, right? Even during the weekdays, there's some level of get into PvP event. The community is just like back there thriving for it. And so it feels pretty good. Like we're at the starting point of like what Final Fantasy 14 PvP needs to be. And a lot of people seem to be excited at the event as well. Now, granted, you know, Brian, we did have, I don't know if you guys had that advantage or not, but we had the advantage of 100% people had to be there to save seats for Primal's concert. So no matter what, you know, we're going to have people in there, but all of them were excited and they had a lot of noise, man. It felt so surreal to like say something and have a crowd respond to you. And Lythi, I'm sure you felt this before in your previous bullshit. All right.
No.
For me, this is unique and special. Okay.
For me, this was also a very new experience in that regard. The biggest crowd I've ever casted in front before FanFest was basically like 15 people for like a super small local WoW event. Yeah, I mean I was on stage for Gamescom a couple of weeks earlier beforehand, but that was a stage like corporate presentation kind of thing with AMD that I did. So you had the crowd, but it was a little bit less about anything esportsy and a little bit more about you show a thing, you show a slide, crowd cheers, next slide, crowd cheers, etc., etc. So this was very different and a completely new experience for me. But holy hell, I never want to go back to remote esports broadcasting. I just want to do everything on stage with a crowd nonstop.
Yeah. Like I just didn't like. It's so weird, and it's a fear you have, right? At least for me, it was. To go on stage and to ask a question or ask the crowd to respond or cheer or do something, and you're just like, please don't be crickets. please do something, make some noise. And then they respond and you're like, yeah, all right, let's do it. The power is here. And and it
gives you
great.
So much energy. It's insane.
Yeah.
Like it was when we got on stage and you could see that like I want to say about half of the seats were filled, maybe a little bit more, but a lot of like empty seats on the sides. Like you had the diagonal seating off to the side. This is very, very sparsely filled, basically. But
it was not very, very sparsely filled. It was about like half to three quarters. Yeah.
The media section in the beginning was like straight up empty. It was just like me and a couple people, but like it did start to fill, especially towards like grand finals.
Yeah. We had more and more people. I mean, it was the same thing even with NA. It was incredible to see, like, as people started getting brought into the hype, the energy is so contagious. And I know because I was watching in the audience while you two were going at NA, and it was awesome because I heard all sorts of people around me that at the start were kind of like, oh, yeah, well, Primals is coming up, or we could do dinner. I think we'll do dinner in like 5. And then lo and behold, they were there the entire time and they stayed until the end. And I heard those exact same people being like, PvP is actually really fun. What? Like, that was so hype. And it was like the same with EU. I mean, it was incredible seeing people get more and more into it and start to realize that they could actually grasp what was happening and that they were cheering for teams. I mean, the fish love by the end was huge. Like, people were so invested in Fish. All the rest of the FanFest, we had people come up to us and be like, Fish was so good. And like, of course, people were excited about all the teams in many different ways, but to actually see folks come in having no knowledge of the teams, probably no knowledge of PvP, although there are PvP lovers. But then to walk away being like, I was cheering for this particular team. I loved it. It was so much fun. And yeah, by the end, it was all filled. Like, it was amazing to see that so many folks had come, and we had so many people say afterwards to us, like, I really loved this. I had no idea how much fun this could be. And I was just like, yes, play PvP.
I was so happy with EU versus OCE finals too. That was super cool to see.
The what?
That was so unexpected as well.
Oh yeah. Sorry. Go. I
Yeah.
forgot. I
Yeah.
forgot OCE was in EU.
Yeah, sea fish.
Yeah,
I
we had the
forgot,
Oceania in there, the same way Australia is part of the Eurovision Song Contest, you know.
Yeah.
They're all honorable Europeans in some way, you know.
Right,
but
right.
no, it was a bit unexpected because
Yeah.
because Fish as kind of the materia team. We were worried, did they even have teams to practice with? Did they really live up to the same level of competition? Because also, like in the prelims, there weren't that many teams. Fish only had to play one series to qualify. One series to qualify in the prelims. And that was compared to the bigger mass of EU teams, and especially the level of competition we saw out of the EU teams. If you look at teams like Esports Ready or Hopeless, we were like genuinely concerned. It's like, okay, is Fish going to put on a performance? Are they going to make it to the grand final? Even Bourbon's range looked pretty solid, so we were not really expecting much from Fish. And like watching them turn around such a fantastic performance, make it to the grand final, it was magical. It was
Yeah,
awesome.
it was.
NA kind of had a similar thing. We maxed out almost every single match. Like we played almost every single one, except for the final. I didn't make it all the way to the 5, but almost every single match that could be played was played. I don't know if did you guys have a similar thing over at EU, or were there a couple of 2-0s? I don't actually remember.
We had
Yeah, you guys.
up
Yeah.
until the prelims. There was the offline qualifiers, the prelims, and then of course the semi and finals in London. Offline qualifiers were, I think, exclusively stomps. The
A lot of
prelims
stomps.
were also majority stomps, except for Bourbon's Ranch. Those were absolutely insane nail biters. Like literally. Imagine the semifinal against Fish, but every single series that Bourbon's Ranch played was like that. We had a
was absurd.
7-minute overtime with Bourbon's on Clockwork, I think.
It was incredible. Like it was one of the most hype overtimes, and that was one of the things about Bourbon's that everybody was so engaged by, because their overtimes are ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like there will be a single person alive with 1 health, and you're like, they're gone, and then the
It's
entire
over.
team is back on the point, and you're like, how did you get here? So good.
Yeah. I think on stage it was 11-minute one, right?
Yes.
Against
Yes.
Fish.
Jeez.
That's crazy.
Oh. Yeah.
Crazy.
I remember
Yeah, we
there's
had a
at
lot
least
of
one
overtime.
match at NA that was kind of like that. We're like, when is this going to end? I don't know what's going on.
Yeah,
Like,
I
it
think
should've
we
been
had an
over.
8-minute one.
They kept going. Yeah. I don't know if it was as intense as the ones you guys had, but it was a lot of like, all right, well, all they need is we're sitting here looking at the crystal. Someone has to get off point. It's just 5 minutes of looking at the crystal, waiting for someone to get off the point, and that was it. But yeah, God, it was. I kind of wish we had the updates to PvP currently that are in game during the time that we were commentating. To be completely honest.
So sorry, we did get those. We did have those.
Oh, you had all
Yeah.
those updates live
We
on
had
stage?
them. Yeah.
Damn it.
Yeah.
It's-
As is customary, at least in the World of Warcraft community, thank you, NA, for beta testing everything for us.
Oh gosh.
Oh my god. So wait a minute, did they put you guys on a test server when they were playing, or was it?
No, they implemented the quality of life changes after FanFest Vegas, even though it wasn't part of
But then they
like
implement
a balance
more?
change patch. So what they implemented that we had for FanFest Europe was for FanFest London was I think some of the overlay stuff, like the crystal marker where the crystal
Yeah.
needs to go, stuff
Mhm.
like that.
The AoE color
whatever they
coordination.
yeah, and wasn't there something about the overlay? I already forgot again what it was, but basically just these like graphical and UI quality of life changes for Crystalline Conflict. That's what we got. No other like gameplay changes.
Yeah. Brian and I put a good amount of practice into just making sure we understood the overlay and the UI and everything. Because it was kind of hard to read sometimes, but it takes you a second to get to it. Brian
Yeah.
has seen it a lot more than I have, or probably all of us combined has. But like it's there was a little bit of wonkiness at first, but yeah, they are making changes as they see what's going on during the event. Yoshida did he sit in the front for you guys?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
I remember the moment when I was casting and everything, and then I looked down and I see Yoshida looking directly at me across like on the floor, just sitting there, and I'm like, all right, let's do it.
I didn't see him at all when I was on stage.
It was super entertaining because we had our caster desk a little bit more to the left side, so we had like a side view on the crowd, but could still see the crowd pretty well from where we were sitting, or at least I could. And I was looking out every now and then, and some point in between, always. I mean, of course, your eyes go to Yoshida, like you want to see, okay, how is he reacting? What's going on there?
Smile.
He was hands up and leaning back and forth and being in the action. I think he had a good time. It was really fun to see.
Yeah.
I wish I had seen Yoshida in the crowd, because in my head for weeks beforehand, I imagined what it would be like having Yoshida-san watch us come. This was legitimate. I was just like, Yoshida-san is going to be there. He's going to be there on the floor, and he's going to see us saying words about his game, and we're going to say them. And oh God, I hope they make sense, and I hope that they're fun. And I was like imagining it. But anytime I go out on the stage, like afterwards, we had friends and stuff even ask, like, did you see me in the crowd? And I'm like, no. Because I don't see any individuals. Like, I look out and it's like the energy, I'll feel it, I'll feed off of it. But it's as if looking out at the crowd, my ability to recognize faces is just gone. It vanishes from me, because all of my focus and my attention and everything are just on like the stage and the energy and the feedback. And so I didn't even see him because I just had like blur vision.
Yeah, I think the crowd, like the reason I was thinking about Yoshida watching is because he's looking at it, he's like, how can I make this better at the exact same time, right? How can I make this overall experience better? And so I'm sure he's looking at this and he's trying to pick pieces from that. And yeah, Brian and I were the beta test. Or you know what? We're probably the alpha test in that part. You guys were the beta, and then JP's
gonna have a great time. Yeah, I felt like it was so funny because you can see like pieces of it coming together across all three of the events, right? And it was funny because like with a lot of the stuff with your show, I felt like there's still, some, how do we want to do esports within Final Fantasy 14, right? How do we format? Yes. How do we, where do we want to have interviews? How do we want to structure this? Where are we going to put sponsor shoutouts? All that kind of stuff. And it all came together beautifully, but of course you can kind of see where then with EU iteration, they were kind of like, okay, this, or this, and that, and we'll take this and we'll leave this out and we'll put this stuff. But the one thing that was so funny from EU was that, we've talked about it, and I think everybody was very aware of it as well, is that we had so many technical problems on the stage, which is just part of what happens anytime there's a live production, a live show. But we've had people since ask us, you couldn't see it in the live stream, but in the crowd, there was a point where Lythi and I stood up and turned around and sat on the caster desk because our monitors went black mid-match and we couldn't see anything. And so we literally couldn't see the match. So we just had to turn around and sit on the desk to look at the big screen.
Wow.
I've been saying 27 inches overrated for gaming, man. You gotta get the what was it? The 10 meter diagonal big screen thing. That's where it's at.
Yeah. Good on you guys to think of that on the spot, because there was no break at all. Once the monitors went off, you guys just turned around and kept it going.
Were you guys off to the side of they were the two teams and you guys were to the side? We were right in the middle for Brian and I. And if I would turn around and look at the screen, I don't know if I could commentate on that. So I would have turned around and I would have been like, there's stuff happening.
It was our theater background and our esports background collectively, that moment where you're like, and the screens are black. Great. Let's find an alternative. Is that screen black? No. Great.
I'm just so glad this was not the first time my screen died while casting. It's like it's studio technical issues. It happens so much that your screen goes black, and the first time you're like, oh no, what do I do? But I think this was the 7th or 8th time this happened to me, and I'm just like,
oh my god.
okay, screen's black, whatever. Where's the next one that I can cast off? I don't care. It's gonna get fixed in like either 10 seconds or never, so whatever.
Yeah.
So, like with that, the defense that I would put on that is this is the only on-stage computer, event they have the entire time. But
Yeah.
Lythi, yours like the other events you did, I'm sure it had more than just that one computer event. That there is more probably the main focus of it. So maybe it's just not that uncommon.
Frosty, I think you're overestimating other setups a little bit there.
Am I?
No, I've legit ran into situations where I had only one singular screen, and that one died on me. So I was at some point I was like,
Oh,
hey, guys, my
Where
screen
did
went
the-
black. I would like to cast more, but I can't.
Mhm.
Okay.
It's tragic, but it happens.
You
It's
just
nothing
wait.
you can do
You could
about
just
it.
turn over to like probably what Brian and I would have done. I was like, Brian, look over at their computers over on the other side. I'll go over here, and we'll just stand behind them and start commentating behind the players, and just and just start commentating. Over
Oh
their
my god, that's good.
You
I
guys
wouldn't have thought of any of that. So I'm happy
You guys
would
could have
thought
done that. You guys could have done that because you had the belt pack mics. Rook
yeah,
and
yeah,
I
we
had
did.
the headsets. We didn't
Oh.
have belt pack mics.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we could talk about that more later too. But like, there's
it was very different, honestly.
Mine fell out of my ear at some point. So if you look at a lot of pictures, you could see like it hanging out of my ear. So there's a lot of pictures of it just hanging there. Well, the other one was in, but that one I was like, I tried to put it in. I was like, I'm not gonna mess with it anymore. I'm just gonna leave it. I can hear out of one and talk in the other one. And it still worked out, and I could still kind of hear through. It gave me a little bit of additional local hearing, I guess. So it was fine to have it out. But that's part of it. And man, on stage commentary is so much different than remote commentary. They're both great, and they both have individual issues. Remote, it sucks having to rely on everybody's internet to work for a remote thing to happen, right? But yeah, being there, what? Mentioning that real quick tangent, it is a miracle that we have not had the server going to fritz or some major issue happen with the servers going down in the middle of an event. Like it happens every once in a while with Final Fantasy 14. The servers start to get a little unstable or something, just every once in a while. But we have dodged it every single time.
Yeah.
With
Thank
PvP events.
God.
That would be
Actually,
so scary.
it would be. Actually, I wanna jump in because I have a question for Rook on that tangent, since we're already talking about the onstage stuff. How different was casting on stage compared to performing theater on stage?
Ooh, good question. It is pretty different, right? In the sense that the scene that you're building is much more directly interactive. So I think that was a big thing. Like I've been on stage or had to do things like where you work with a crowd, but in the sense of like having an event with esports where the peaks and falls of the action, right? Like you want folks to get caught up in it. You want them to be excited about it. So it's not like, having a scene that I've really nailed it if the audience is crying, because it's like you want to instead have a totally different trajectory of action where you are like directly involving them in the process and making them feel like they are a part of it. It's probably closer to like improv, or like how it feels to do like an improv show or like an improv comedy show, when I've done things like that, more adjacent, because there's that back and forth, that call and response.
Yeah.
But it's also just very different because you are orchestrating it all around this specific action that's happening. And like what is going on with those matches and how you pad that out, how you deal with the technical elements, how you coordinate having all the players on the stage. I think that's probably one of the biggest differences. that it's not like you're all actors on the stage. You have like such a huge range of folks that have different backgrounds. Julia, it was her first time ever on stage, and she did amazingly. And her and Kevin with hosting, but they have their own experience as community team members. We have a different experience as commentators. Yoshida-san coming on the stage, it's very different for him, and the players are not at all entertainers. Like, they're just players. They're just 14 players. So. Trying
just
to bring
14 players. Just 14
they
players.
don't have mics and stuff.
Well,
Yeah.
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, they're lovely. They're wonderful, wonderful people. And they are entertaining, but like they are not, they're there to play. They're not there to like, do all the other stuff, right? So like trying to coordinate all of those different facets and then tie it all together with like the technical elements and then deliver it to the audience so that the audience can be excited too is definitely a very different experience than like being on stage with a bunch of actors. You've practiced it 100 times. Like, you know how it goes. You know how the ensemble is. You've done a million tech rehearsals and, dress rehearsals. So that chaos definitely is real. It's different.
Yeah.
And it's thrilling though, because you just like, you sink or swim, like you either just go with it full speed or it's going to fall apart.
Yeah.
I told people if the commentary went bad, I was just going to go in my hotel room and just like die. It's done. Brian Ricardo's over. It's done. But no, I felt like it went super well for NA.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
happy.
Yeah.
and I think I was talking to you, Brian, when I was like, all this stuff seems so stressful, like going up to the moment. But as soon as you sit down and things are working, at least in that moment, right?
Yeah.
And you start commentating like we've done before. You just get into it and you just run with it. You don't think about like being on stage anymore. You just start to feel comfortable. Like a lot of that stuff seems to go away once you just start doing it.
Yeah, my only fear, like I said, was like the technical stuff. And luckily we didn't have like that much.
No, we didn't have that, fortunately. Yeah. No, we didn't have that, luckily. There was some stuff, that we went on, and there's a couple of things that I was like, I did my diva thing. I went up there and I was like, no, it can't be this way. I can't.
Oh yeah, you
commentate
did.
like this.
Thank you for speaking up.
I was like, the only way that we can commentate is if you change this, right? And I did that a little bit, and I think that that's part of the expectation, at least within this side of coming on stage for Final Fantasy 14, is that this isn't something they do very often, and they need our input, and they can either take it or not take it. But I'm gonna come out and say, hey, this is the ideal situation. This is how we could work and make it better.
We annoyed them a lot leading up to London about things we wanted, things we would have liked, stuff like that. Basically, until the show started, we were making changes and talking about things.
Yeah.
And
same for us. Yeah,
I walked up on stage like while we were all dressed up, and I was like, all right, well, I could talk more about that stuff too, but there were things, right? There were things that like I was.
We can
like,
at least mention the monitor, how the monitors were.
I felt bad about this, right? But like the monitors were facing in a way that would make us jam our chairs into each other, and it was really just like awkward. And I made the guys come up, unscrew the monitors from the bottom, take a drill and move it over into a completely different angle and reorganize the whole thing so we could have our space and it was
necessary.
Yeah. I think it was necessary. And it made for the better show. I think 100%.
Yeah.
And it's so different. Being on stage for commentary, it's so different. And there's just stuff you gotta like know to look for and do. And luckily, again, I've gone through this motion of this not the exact same thing, but very close with doing this in 2018 and 2019. And so I had an idea of what to expect when I get up there, things to look for, things to kind of smooth out. And they have a lot more. The PvP segment, while there's a lot that goes into it, is not the highlight of FanFest. It's good. For me, it's a highlight, right? For us, it's a highlight.
Yes.
But the keynote, revealing the trailer, the new jobs, a lot of these panels meant a lot to a lot of people, right? PvP was our thing that we were doing on there, and it was a big deal to them. But they had to focus on a lot of that stuff. The primals had to be focused on, like, a lot of these things are really important pieces of the puzzle of FanFest. And when you go up there, the reason they bring you and they have you is to help them with that section, that panel, that show. And so I did my best to try to help with that too. I feel pretty good about it. I feel like, again, you guys did great when you were over in EU. I wasn't there personally to see it. Brian was, but I wasn't.
Say it like that.
Brian was there, but
I'm very proud of my ability to admit jealousy and envy, and it was there. Okay, it was there.
Hey, what do you think
you.
how I felt when I was watching Vegas, you know?
Yeah, it's okay.
Rook was there.
Yeah, Rook was there. Rook with the both of them. What a jerk.
I'm such a jerk. Sorry, everybody.
But yeah, no, it looked like it was really fun. I wanted to be there too, but I understood my situation, and not going there was the right decision, but I'm still gonna throw my shade when I can. I forgot the exact thing that I was saying right before that, but I loved being there, and I think that I'm glad they gave us a chance to do this. I'm glad they're still doing this, right? They're still pushing. They revamped PvP since Feast completely to this new version, and they're putting in a lot of work to try this new mode and everything else, and they're putting it on stage. And of course, I'm looking forward to what they do in the future with it. I'm looking forward to see what the JP FanFest side of this, what that looks like too. I don't know, but maybe we'll have more changes after that as well. And Dontrell PvP, I don't know the complete sentiment of Yoshida, but I think after these events and everything else, seeing kind of the PvP community, I know Yoshida's pretty involved on the JP side for the PvP community as well.
Right.
That we're going to see hopefully some more in PvP stuff going in 7.0 and forward, besides just FanFest.
Crystalline Conflict, the global championship, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Please.
I really wanted to talk to Yoshida about it, but we did not have a quiet moment to bring it up, sadly. So we'll have to relegate that to another time. But
yeah.
I think the potential is there.
We've done that in the community before, but we've never done that like an official. I think it needs to be done like by an official stance, right? They should What would be exciting is if they took I don't know how to really get that going. I don't think they should take the first place from each one, because I don't feel like that would be enough games. Maybe like the top 2 from each and try to make that work out. And I don't know.
Give us the top 4 from every region. You get 12 teams. You do like a full tournament. It's going to be a blast. You do like 2 or 3 days. Just bang out some matches. It's going to be epic.
Yeah.
I think Yoshi P.'s heart would absolutely love that, but like, would the rest of like the community want that?
Absolutely.
I'm going to speak for the whole community. It's me, Rook. I'm the community. Yes. Well, this is okay.
Then let's make it happen.
Let me elaborate more, I should say, right? We talked about this earlier, right, on the podcast, the fact that the tickets and things, particularly for FanFest, are so they're so prized, right? As the community just continues to grow, there is more and more of a desire to be a part of these events that we have in the community, and there are only so many people that can actually be a part of them. And so we see that a lot of folks can't actually go to things, and they, maybe they can't get in on the lottery. They really wanted to, or you've got Frosty who is side-eyeing us going over to EU. Like, man, I wish I could just get a ticket to EU if I'm in NA. Like, there's so many things where we see more and more that just having FanFest once every 2 years in each region is something where the community, they want to engage. They want more stuff. They want more events to be excited about. They want Square Enix to put on more things for them. And so even if folks aren't super invested in PvP specifically, I really think there's potential that they could. I really think with Crystalline Conflict in particular too, it's something where it's watchable, it's fun, it's exciting. And if Square Enix were to be involved, or we got something like a Global Cup, that's another event where folks can be excited about the game and they can be invested. I mean, we have our world races with MogTalk, and you see how the community lights up. even if they aren't raiders. So it would be amazing to have something like that. And I, Rook, speaking on behalf of the community.
I agree with what you're saying. I wish so much for that, but like just from my POV, it doesn't seem like too much changes happen. For example, I was a media for the EU event, so I had some PvP questions for Yoshi P, and none answered. None answered. And none of the other media / influencers asked PvP questions. So I know that's not a tell like that PvP is not popular right now, but I just would love to see that be shined in like the media side and stuff like that.
I think the ideal, the best solution they could really make for this is they could just wrap up this plan they have with JP FanFest, and then maybe in 7.0 and going forward, start releasing serious Light Party online stuff, right? Because right now Light Party barely exists in official capacity outside of the regional championships. And so what they could really do is figure out how to implement that within the game in a way that would be not like it was before, because it was not great before, because there's only a handful of teams that would queue up,
Right.
and then they would have to talk to each other on Discord. It felt kind of like trading in a way, because you're like, well, these are the only two teams that could really play at that time, right? And so if they started trying to do something a little bit more official from the Square Enix side and implement some of those things in game and move forward with a system that would work with each region. I mean, we've talked about windowed queues and everything else, like say certain times on the evenings in each region, the evening that's in that region to the actual queuing up and let people play and then ladder up and then do an official tournament, online tournament. Later on, because they do an online tournament every once in a while, but to get one that would be based off of a ranking from online queuing systems.
Yeah, I think a team leaderboard in general is then like the next logical step, and the kind of the foundation you need to lay out before you go into developing like a proper esports scene for this game. If you are interested in doing so. Of course, purely hypothetical. If you want to stick with what is going on right now, just get the community together and do a tournament a little bit more. And like it isn't supposed to sound sort of devaluing, but do a tournament a little bit more on the level of a show match rather than a proper like full-on esports competition. And I'm not saying FanFest is not a proper esports competition. Like it's as close as we are going to get to a proper esports competition
right now.
It's already at a really good spot. But like laying that foundation out is probably one of the most important things, and I really hope that it's going to happen. I think it's going to happen, and I do think, as we talked about earlier already, right? There's so many new people now playing PvP, and thanks to the FanFest tournaments, I also think, and same as you guys in Vegas, right? Rook and I afterwards, we got so many messages and so many people telling us that they are gonna try to PvP now. They're really getting hooked on it, and I think it's just doing a really good job at kind of promoting this extra part of the game that a lot of people, I think, over the last few years with the end of Feast and everything, pre-rework, kind of had written off as dead content, so to say.
Yeah.
Also important to note, sorry, I just wanted to interject super fast, because there was a comment in the chat. But with Light Party queues, right? The community has been keeping Light Party so alive with their own community tournaments and things like that. Definitely more so, though, I think in the discussion context, like in relation to just kind of general in the game pug Light Party, right? Like just going someplace and saying, hey, who wants to just do Light Party, right? As opposed to those like specific community sources. I think the sort of commentary or discussion about Light Party being something that is very inactive comes from the fact that it's not a mode that we can literally play in game right now. And stuff like this discussion about, you know, could we get the team queues? Could we get a team leaderboard? Could we have a separate thing with that? I think would open up new horizons for this game mode, because it's the most fun when you play it together, and the limit breaks and pairing them and the strategies. It's meant to be a team game. So.
Hey everyone, we are sponsored by Tokyo Tree and Scorco again this month. So let me go ahead and give a quick rundown for those who are unfamiliar with our sponsors. For Tokyo Treat, it's a monthly Japanese snack subscription box where you will get up to 20 of the latest and most exclusive limited edition and seasonal flavor Japanese snacks that are only available in Japan for a limited time. Things like Sakura Pepsi, Japanese sake Kit Kats, ramen packs, and much, much more. And for Sakura, it's a different option. It's a monthly subscription to Japanese snacks as well, but it's directly focused on supporting local Japanese snack makers. Each box comes with 20 authentic traditional artisan Japanese snacks, including some Japanese teas and tableware. And of course, every month they have a theme for these boxes. And so let's go ahead and explore what those are for November. For our Tokyo Treat box, it has a focus on Mount Fuji this month. And if you think of Japan, usually you think of Mount Fuji in some way, but maybe not Mount Fuji snacks. Let's go ahead and go over a few of those. Here we have things like the Mount Fuji green tea cake, Mount Fuji sandwich cookie, has some sweet potato sable cookies, and wasabi potato chips. I am going to try one of these snacks now. I figured really what I'm most interested in is the green tea cake, because I'm a huge fan of green tea. I actually, when we were getting married, I requested green tea ice cream cake for our wedding. So let's go ahead and take a bite. Here's the packaging. I already started opening it before I got it on camera. Sorry. Oh, it is extremely soft here and actually huge. I can take a look at that real quick. You can see it just comes apart very easily. Wow. This definitely tastes like green tea. It's a strong green tea taste to it. Very sweet, fluffy. And this... Oh, alright. This one won. I'll take it. If you need descriptions, you always have descriptions in your box as well. With your booklet. Let me see what it actually describes it as here with the green tea cake. Oh, I'm not gonna pronounce this right. Sakura Prefecture, right next to Mount Fuji, is home of the best green tea in Japan. Alright. Enjoy a bite of this yummy sponge cake filled with sweet and light matcha green tea cream. It is absolutely fantastic, and I'd recommend you guys try this when you get your boxes. The very first thing that you try. Alright guys, let's go ahead and check out our other box. For Sakura, we have a beautiful box with all their wonderful treats in it. They are actually partnering with the Saitama city for this limited edition box. You can see a little gold inlay there. Again, I'm going to start collecting these, I'm sure. They have both traditional and modern aspects of Japan, one step away from Tokyo. It's also known for their pears, and so we have some pear gummies in there, alongside of these castella cakes, curry senbai. It's a lot of really good snacks inside of it. It also comes with these cool chopsticks. Let me get those out real quick. Because we have been getting little dishes in our boxes, but we haven't gotten chopsticks yet, and so I'm kind of a little excited about that. Alright. So yeah, this is part of the tableware that you will get from Sakura. Let me go and take it out. Yeah, you can take a quick look at the chopsticks. So yeah, no, okay. Perfect. Very excited to get chopsticks this time. But yeah, let's go ahead and take a quick look at one of their snacks. The gummies were already kind of interesting me. So let's go ahead and try the gummies out here. It's clear. Ooh, they smell so good. Holy crud, I just got a whiff of it. It's... Whew. You can definitely smell a pear. Yeah. Again, one of my favorite thing about these snacks is that they're not overwhelming. Like, they don't, like... They're not super sweet, sugary. They're balanced out well enough that you can just devour them. You can just eat them one after another. So thank you, Sakurako, for this amazing box. Thanks, guys, for taking a second to watch me eat some delicious treats. Hopefully you guys will be eating some delicious treats as well when you sign up for either Sakurako or Tokyo Treat. Of course, when you sign up, use the link below. That link actually supports the channel. So wonderful, tasty snacks plus supporting MogTalk in the World Race. It seems like a pretty good deal. But either way, thank you guys all for being with me today, and I hope you have a wonderful time. Enjoy the rest of the show. It's completely against playing together right now how it's implemented in the game. You can only queue up alone in casual and in like ranked, right? And so without the community doing the light party stuff, there wouldn't be teams practicing. There wouldn't be teams having competitions. There wouldn't be a light party scene at all. The community holds up the light party side at all currently.
100%.
But we need Square Enix. They can do whatever they want. It's their game. They can do whatever they want. All right, I need to be completely clear about that.
Yes.
For Light Party to succeed and push forward, official presence has to exist within the game as well, to where people can show their skill on Lodestone. They have a ranking board and they're ranked #1 team or whatever, and they could be the Farty Boys or whatever, and they'll be #1 rank right on the website. We need that ability to do that. And I think, they tried to do that in the past, but it wasn't a system that worked with what the current state of the community could handle. And they could, there's a good handful of ideas of how to get it to the starting point to move forward and then grow it from there. Because one day maybe they can do just completely open queues, people just queue up whenever, but moderated, limited time ways to get people to queue in and feel like it's kind of fair is all they really have to implement. And I think the ideas are there. They have to commit. And it's a difficult thing. And I don't see all the inner workings of their PvP. I don't talk to the developers who work on the PvP all the time. I don't know for sure. I know Yoshida's always excited about it. It looks like he's paying attention. It looks like he's being pretty serious about it. But I know he has to also be serious about everything else that's going on in the game too. So it's not his only focus. And it's not currently... PvP's not the alluring factor that brings people into Final Fantasy XIV. While we like it and it's great, there's a lot. Well, Lythi, maybe you could prove me wrong, but I haven't heard anyone that said I saw PvP and I'm playing Final Fantasy XIV completely because they play the game and they love Final Fantasy and they love PvP, so they're playing PvP inside Final Fantasy.
The thing with PvP is, and while of course it's still an ongoing effort to bring in more new players, I think Final Fantasy is already at a fantastic spot in terms of how many people play it and the way the community attracts new players currently. I don't think Final Fantasy needs another tool to bring in more players. What I feel like Final Fantasy needs at the moment, especially now this kind of bridge from current point to the Dawntrey release, is something that keeps people interested in the game. And that is something where PvP is kind of the prime candidate, because it's essentially it's a limitless time sink as long as you enjoy the competitive nature of PvP.
I found it. I found my in. Sorry, go ahead. Keep going.
Basically. Yeah. There's no reason for you to just stop PvPing at some point unless you get tired of playing it, right? You can try the different jobs, you have the different roles. There is so much to do. It is quick queue up. You don't need to find a friend group like for raiding, for example. You don't need to go through Party Finder. You can just plug and play. And that's a fantastic way of just spending some time in the game. And the more people are aware that this type of content exists, and the more people are aware that this type of content is really enjoyable, the more people are gonna stick around, even when their static takes a raid break, because this content is cleared, everyone has their mount and all their weapons, etc. And I think that is the kind of the prime designation that, for me, in my mind at least, PvP has in Final Fantasy at the moment. And I don't think you need to put it in a position where it's supposed to lure in players. If the PvP is good enough, it's gonna do that automatically because word of mouth propaganda is gonna tell people from outside, dude, Final Fantasy PvP is insane. You need to play it, especially because it's so easy to get into. You literally just need to get to like what was it, 35? Level 35. You don't even need to
30.
finish the
Trial
entire
account, right?
entire game.
Yeah.
Yeah, literally. Grab the free trial, level to 30, get in PvP.
No, you
and
can't PvP on free
that's
trial.
No.
You can't PvP on free trial. They removed that.
Yeah, it used to be.
Used to be.
I
But-
will say that it's not a deterrent, at least anymore.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
it used to be that I would have people come into chat and stuff and ask, what's the PvP like in 14? And I'd be like,
Well,
PvP.
well,
here's the thing.
listen,
I-
it's good. Sort
I
some
love
people
Oh
might-
feast.
no.
I love feast. You
I
want to
know,
know what this
I know,
shirt
I know.
is? This shirt is a feast shirt. All right, this
I'm
says
so
the
sorry.
feast on the back of it. All right.
I know.
Oh, you
Oh
got
my
one too?
gosh, you
We got the
too with
feast
your feast.
Yeah, the feast.
Listen,
I got the,
I
I
know
got the other
people
color.
that loved. I know people that loved Feast ate good while the feast was open and available. You know,
Mhm.
I always personally like I tried to play it, and I know if I had actually like really given more time to it, I probably would have really engaged with it. But because it was kind of in this weird limbo, and because there were only really select niche communities that were like very, very invested in it or very competitive about it, and because it had a bit more hurdles to kind of grasping it, understanding it, working around it. I think it oftentimes was not something that was super a thing that the community would tout as being a component of the game. And I've definitely heard that shift and felt that shift to some degree. And again, this is not meant to be a knock of Feast because I know a lot of people
No,
really
it's
did love
okay.
it.
We
I'm
get
sorry,
it.
I'm
We're
sorry.
over it. We're
But-
over it. Yeah.
You know, it's been very interesting being able to
You're not
instead
wrong.
be like, hey,
Yeah.
they revamped PvP. There's a fantastic reward system. There's a battle track that you can work towards. There's all this other stuff. They are introducing new maps. They've been doing regular balance changes. So it's finally a thing that isn't like a weird, well, okay, so like kind
Yeah.
of thing that you have to mention.
True.
The
No,
barrier
PV
of entry is super low.
Oh yeah, you could get into PvP, and that's the most popular mode right now. Is the casual mode of crystalline conflict. Most people want to do that in the casual queue. You'll see that to be active over almost everything else because it's just fun to get in there and play your character and jump in the air as a dragoon and hope you just snipe a few people who aren't paying
Right.
attention. Right? That's like the big deal, and people look for that all the time. But I was talking about I found my in, right, and we're talking about PvP being a repeatable piece of content, people holding current players to keep staying subscribed because they want a PvP as well. They have something to do. It's easy for them to get into. You know, Party Finder could kind of be like that too. Now, if you jump into prog parties, you have all these people who are just battling to do the mechanics who don't know what they're doing, and you're trying to keep them alive as a healer and everything else. It's repeatable content. People are bad all the time. So you could just easily jump into Party Finder whenever you want, start healing. You have repeatable content for days. PvP could be kind of like that
Frosty,
too.
is this you trying to get people to pug top with you?
Hug top. No, I got my group. We're almost there. We're almost done with top. We're so close to top. Clear. We're at the very end of it. And so in the next handful of days, we're actually going to clear that. As a complete side note, but yeah, no, I think I will say this a billion times over and over and over again. Healing Party Finder is the most fun I've ever had in this game ever. Prog parties in particular, because it's just so much fun. You never know what you're going to run into, and in PvP kind of gives you that same feeling. The players you have are going to be different every single time. Well, for the most part, right? Against you, with you, whatever. The team isn't always going to be exactly the same. You're going to have a different map. It's now 7.5 hours of a rotation for maps, so you're going to have different maps a lot as well, and it's going to change every single day. And so it's where you could go in and you could have a new experience most times jumping into PvP, and I think that's what people are looking for. With the light party side of it, it is so much fun to get your group, and it feels kind of, I guess in some environments it can get kind of toxic with your teammates if you don't win a match or not, but you don't have as many the guy I got queued up with is the reason I lost. It's your team,
Right.
and as a team, if you win or lose, and that is a really cool thing to be able to at least try to do, is go in with a team of people you chose to be with, most likely, and try to beat the other team. And we need more of that on an official capacity. The community is literally, without the community doing it, the official capacity would never happen. But I think with the community like upholding that platform right now, it gives us a chance for Square Enix to take action and push it forward. So,
yeah.
Okay. We talked.
Agreed. I'll add one more thing though.
Sure,
So like, we did say that PvP, especially casual queue, is just like you just jump in and play, and I agree with that. And I agreed with like Square Enix is making it more engaging to keep playing with new maps and stuff like that. But the rank reward thing is still kind of like people will play and then like the season will die off because there is no like big reward for each season. I still don't really know how to feel about it because I understand that like adding big rewards to fees or Crystal Conflict could cause people to like cheat again and things like that. So it's just like a really tough thing. But
I mean, that's a fair hurdle. I mean, the bigger you add prizes, and that's the thing that like I worry about when doing events. The bigger prizes you put in there, the more you have to be on the outlook for malicious entities. And it sucks, and that's just anywhere in esports and any kind of competition. You got to have systems in place to kind of track that stuff. The community does a pretty decent job policing that within their events, I think. And I think they're able to take it. They're able to look at a game, and for the most part, tell if someone's being off, malicious, right? Nothing too egregious can really happen in those maps because everything's up to the peer review. It's not up to Square Enix to come in and make a stance on it. And so that's why the world race stuff kind of works out pretty good in most sense because we can kind of keep an eye on it. We have everyone streaming. We're watching their point of views. There's not a lot of stuff that could go wrong, but we have the ability to try to police it. And then the community events, we have the ability to do that. When they release official tournaments and official stuff with Light Party, Square Enix is going to have to police it. It's not going to be the community policing it. So they have to build that kind of system as well, right? And that's tough. That's tough.
Which, to be fair, it's not that much of a step up to what's going on already, right? Like, in terms of policing, you don't have in-game chat during PvP anyway, so you don't have to deal with kind of toxic chat behavior in the first place.
It's all in Discord.
And everything else is gonna basically
Nice
everything
game.
else just
Nice
gonna
game. Nice
stay the
game.
same.
I'm just teasing you. I'm sorry.
Yes,
Please keep
exactly,
going.
Rock. Exactly that.
Yeah.
Good match. That's
But
I use thank you, by the way.
it's like you're already putting on a FanFest tournament. You already have the foundation of competitive rulebook, of competitive behavior, and vetting players. Like if we're looking at the amount of teams that did not play in the CCRC in both NA and EU, not just because of country restrictions in Europe, but also just their accounts being in bad standings. Them signing up on alt accounts because apparently that's a thing and that Square Enix doesn't like that. And I talk to the players and they try to explain it to me and I still can't wrap my head around it and understand why someone would do it. So maybe
people have been banned from the Final Fantasy 14 forums. A lot of people have been banned from the Final Fantasy 14 forums, and I don't think that looks like your account's in good standing.
Everybody.
There could be, I don't know the explanation, but that's my first just jump to it is like how many people I've talked to that have been banned from the forums.
Really? Keep your commentary constructive, fam. Keep it constructive. If you have concerns about whether it's constructive, run it by a level-headed friend of yours and see if they go, that's bad. Don't say that.
And a lot of people, PvP is an environment where people can get pretty salty. And you can say stuff, and Square Enix is a no tolerance. You say stuff in party chat, you try to harass someone in any way, you try to make someone feel bad, you'll get something on your account.
Which, quite honestly, is the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Like
having seriously, though.
toxicity has zero place in a community. You can argue that some cases of frustration, etc., might not necessarily warrant a ban from like tournament or anything along the lines. Everyone has a bad day sometimes. I do as well.
Yes.
But ultimately, toxicity has no space, and having a zero tolerance stance on something like that is absolutely, in my opinion at least, justified and the right thing to do. And I can't really feel sorry for someone that has been toxic and doesn't get to play because of it.
Well,
Hey, if they can reform, give them a second chance, definitely. But
I'm 100% on remediation and fixing those marks, right? And trying to figure out that way. But they have to build these systems, right? This is something Final Fantasy 14, their team has had to like completely dive into really hardcore. And I gotta tell you, the NA and EU side of PvP is different than the JP side of PvP. I would assume, I don't know, maybe Brian, you have a little bit more insight to that, but like the communities overall, it's a little bit different in just how players interact with each other. I could be wrong, Brian. Do you have any corrections on that?
And I don't really know how JP players react with each other in Light Party.
Okay. I feel like this is a guess. NA and EU players are a lot louder, a lot more noisy, a lot more needing someone to kind of like say, hey, calm down, dude, or hey, don't do that, right? They need a little bit more of that than JP players may need as well. And that's just how it is.
I will say, to like dovetail off of what Lythi was saying, I mean, I think it is something that's so important that in our spaces, in any competitive space or any high threshold of performance space, so that's even endgame rating, that's anything, right? Some of those game modes can be the most exciting and most fun, and it's a journey for everybody to learn how to deal with ourselves when we are presented with big challenges like that, and the fact that oftentimes our victory or our defeat is not wholly our own responsibility, but is also shared with others. And it's something that I've seen time and time again, a lot of discussions where folks who want to engage with the space are really worried because of its toxicity or really, really are hesitant about it. And that's something that like we do have to all be very aware of. And if you want a competitive scene to grow and stuff like that, I mean, you have to be aware of how you conduct yourself. And of course, like we were saying, like there are bad days, but as someone who like I played competitive Overwatch for ages. I was obsessed with it. It was what I started streaming on. And part of what drove me away from playing it was that it eventually got so bad and so toxic that like if I was on mic and anyone even heard that my voice was feminine, the things that would be said, it would like, I genuinely, I did not even expect the depths to which it got. And I was shocked. Like, even being in the gaming space for as long as I have. So it's one of those things where, again, we have to make spaces that people would even want to be in. And then we have to, like, learn how to conduct ourselves in those spaces. So I agree that, like, Square Enix's stance on those instances is something that like they've been very clear about across the board that I think does generally make our community better. But it's something too where like we have to realize that there are going to be moments where people get spicy, and in competitive stuff it happens, but like, you know, be responsible for your behaviors and like try to make it a space that people want to be in because it's so much fun and it's really good, but like you have to maintain it, right?
I think some of the community does a really good job too. Like the Revival Discord, it's pretty safe and clean for everyone.
I mean, you're always going to have. Oh, go ahead.
I just wanted to throw in something that made me really happy was to see just I was Hopeless as well. I'm not quite sure. I think every single team at FanFest London was a mixed team.
With Chaos and Light, or what do you mean?
No,
range of genders.
Range of genders, male, female, and in between players.
Yeah.
And that is like, for me, coming from other competitive esports, that's not a thing. You don't see that really anywhere currently. It's still super segregated, and girls are not competitive enough, stuff like that. It's such a massive mantra.
Dude, you don't know how bad it was over back in not recently. We had I think we had one team from NA at the recent one that we did that had you know, some level of mixed genders within the party,
Yeah.
right? But like in God, it was 2018, and I remember bringing on Shilly for a conversation about her experience, and it was so just
So
sad. Like as immediately, like they're a really good team, they're a really strong team, but like they didn't win, and all the comments were, "Oh, it's because you had a girl on your team," you know. "Oh, it was because of the girl," right? And it was just like, holy shit! Like, why are we still in this weird stone age of the internet where we can't like get past these stupid comments?
Yeah, and the thing I have to say about that is like we sometimes say like the 14 community is like totally wholesome, but no, this happened in the 14 community.
Yeah.
There's bad apples here, okay?
Yeah. And it's not it's not like it's overwhelming. It's not everywhere in the community, but they exist. There's tons of little communities out there that have their own discords, and all they do is just circle around the same BS statements and comments and things just to make themselves feel a little bit better for whatever they're upset about. They don't have a lot of weight, but these things make them feel better. And it's not good, but I know why they exist, right? I know why people say these things. I know why they're out there. And it's always going to be there. And that's why Square Enix has to come in and have a firm stance and moderation and control and take it like really seriously when they're moving in. Is that people are going to be, whether they're saying things that are bad or whether they're doing things that are bad, these people will always exist. They're not, no one's ever going to play the super, trust game or, where everyone is going, we're going to go in, everyone's going to be good, no one's going to mess, can't do it. There's always going to be a handful of people out there that are going to try to screw over everything for everyone else. So you have to have that moderation.
I will say that hearing that story and then experiencing what we experienced on stage at FanFest EU, having a woman and a non-binary commentator duo, I have not looked at Reddit. I have not rounded the internet, but I will say that every single word that I have heard has been kind. I have heard nothing but support. I have heard nothing but excitement, enjoyment, delight. And I said this when I was on another podcast recently, but I think it bears restating again that I had the realization before this that, and maybe I'm wrong, and maybe there was a moment where this happened, but as far as I know, we were the first woman and non-binary commentators to ever be on the FanFest stage. And that was kind of startling to me when I was like, wait, how long have they been doing these? And they've never, I was like, wait, hold on one second. But like, we also had a greater diversity in the teams. We also saw, right? And everybody was sweet. All of the, like, it was so wonderful to me. Like Fish, some of the players previously were on Revert PvP, and they came up to me and they were like, we saw you in Wolves League and we loved your commentating. Do you remember us? We're the Lalafells. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, and everybody was just like that. Everybody was excited. I did not hear a single like, oh, well, these people are commentating, or like, oh, like, and it was the same afterwards. So let that just show that, like, while there will always be bad apples in a community, that again, if we set the predominant tone to be accepting, diverse, welcoming, and to celebrate that within our community, it really does make change. Because like, I was worried. I won't lie. Like, I always worry about this. And I was worried. And Lythi's one of my very dear friends. And the two of us being up there, I was like, boy, I hope we don't have a lot of hate emails. Like, I really hope it's good when we get back. And it was lovely, honestly. So
I mean, that's my fear too, right? Brian, when we were going up on stage, I was just like, after we're done, people are going to say this was horrible, it was miserable. I'm sure all the comments are going to be like, and the only positive stuff was like the stuff people feel like they're forced to say, right? Like, I gotta say, Frosty's my friend, let me just tell him he did a good job and everything else. But it was actually genuinely good comments from a lot of people, and that felt really good to hear that stuff. And I'm sure there's a good handful out there. If you search, you can find it, but you have to search, and you just got to tell yourself not to search, right? Any place where anyone can comment freely there's going to be an anonymous account that pops up and says whatever they want to say to be just as horrible as they want to be, whatever, our semi-anonymous, barely existing kind of user out there. YouTube, Twitter, Reddit, you know, a lot of these places will have these kind of people show up, and that they just exist for the, you know, the reaction and to say it. So I wouldn't think too much into it. But yeah, you guys did great. From everything I understand, the reaction was really great from the community. You know, I'm very happy with the way that the community has responded to it, because I'm concerned about that to a pretty decent degree. Ryan, you're really involved in the PvP community, like more than all of us. I would say out of everyone in this call, you're the most involved in PvP. I feel pretty confident in saying that.
Sure.
I used to do a lot of stuff with PvP back in the feast days, right? We had a Discord, I had my own fun PvP drama, whatever, that would go through all that, right? I went through all the reigns of being a PvP player and being really embedded with it. And so, but I'm not as active like as a lot of community is right now. And to have people still be accepting of me going on stage and still doing this stuff means a lot to me. Because this is stuff I love to do. And I want to go out there and I want to do it. And I want to do a good job, but I don't want to have a whole bunch of people angry at me for doing it. And from the responses that I've gotten, no one was upset with any. I mean, there's probably a few people out there, right? But no one was like overwhelmingly upset. Like the community wasn't like, oh, let's just, what the fuck are they doing? Why are these people there? There's just like a handful of people out there, but for the most part, the community has been very supportive, and that means a lot to me. It really does.
especially after the four of us done it, like everyone was like super duper positive, thought we did a good job from what I've seen. Yeah, beforehand there was some negative, like some people were saying like like I said earlier, I shouldn't have done it, should have been someone else, but you know, after they seen us do it, they thought we did a great job. So
yeah. And I want to do that, and I want there to be more stuff out there for the PvP community overall. And there's a lot of really good people out there too that are also working as commentary. They're also working with all this other stuff, and they're building up. And I'm hoping that there could be platforms for everybody to kind of grow and do more stuff in the future. But with such a limited platform that we have with Square Enix right now, there's only so much room, but if they grow it, we can get a lot more room for a lot more people to do a lot more stuff, a lot more things. And I'm hoping at some point I can get, if things work out in some way, I can get MogTalk to do more sponsored events for it and stuff and start growing that side. But it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work without the official support, where they're building stuff within the game and building that community itself. We need more from that for a lot of these other things to grow as well.
I agree with that. Yes, I don't come from fighting games, but I do like play a lot of fighting games, and I've been part of like watching the FGC grow and stuff like that. And they have like a ton of commentators, all different personalities, all different walks of life, and that's great, lovely to see, and I will love to see that here as well. So that's why I'm always happy to see us bring new commentators as well coming up.
Yeah, I want to see the PvP community that's working so hard to create a platform be rewarded for working so hard to keep this platform going too, because it's a lot of work. I can't, like, when I did C3, I was like, what the fuck? Just like, how do you?
Oh, Frosty, you saw, didn't you? Did you see that Lil Wu got Yoshida to sign the controller that he won from that tournament? Yes, it was so cute. He cracked it open and like handed it to Yoshida-san, and Yoshida signed the side of it and everything. Yeah.
Did he say anything positive about the controller? I don't.
Yeah, he seemed to like it. He seemed to like it.
Okay. That is amazing, because Battle Beaver gave those controllers, and those were a big deal, right? And I wanted to. I'm so glad to see that. You know what was also really cool? I can't remember what was the winning team for NA Fan Fest. Why am I blanking on the name?
Oh Lord.
Oh no, I'm blanking on the name. They're amazing.
Immediately we all freeze.
That's too non-European for me. Sorry.
I know. Okay. I'm like, all I've had on my mind for the past handful of months are the EU teams.
This is.
Sorry.
You were there too, so.
Yeah, but I don't remember. I should.
You guys, I feel so bad about it that I am literally going and looking to see if I can pull the name, because I shouldn't I shouldn't be forgetting
Holy
it.
moly.
Because there's Bog Yarzin. Was it Bog Yarzin?
Oh, Wolfus.
It was Wolfus. Yes, Wolfus. Okay, thank you. Bog
Hey.
And I'm going to get railed. I'm sure people who are watching this are going to rail us for that. But Jesus Christ, so much has happened between NA FanFest and now. All right. But
honestly,
yeah.
I want to see Wolfus and Hopeless face off because that would be so hardcore.
Hey,
It would be so
global
intense.
championship. Global
Yeah.
championship.
Yeah. But, you know, Vert Kittens was there. Bog Yarzin was there. And there was... And Team Gnosis. Yeah, Team Gnosis as well. But yeah, when... they brought up, they came to me and they're like, hey, I'm using the keyboard we won from the C3 event. They were able to win. I was like, yeah, I'm doing something, right? It's not a lot, but I'm providing something. I'm giving people stuff that, you know, they could, I want to do more of that. And I want to try to take advantage of, you know, the situation that I've been granted by doing this for so long to help build out more PvP stuff if I can in the future. But it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work to get it going. And because you gotta just make sure you try to get as in tune as possible for what's currently happening within the PvP community and making an event that fits what the mode is, right? Because it's not the same as other tournaments. You can't just say, all right, here you go, good luck. You have to actually look at the rules, have an understanding of map rotations, job rotations, everything else, and move forward with that.
Yeah.
But oh, guys, it's already been an hour and a half, by the way.
It flew by. Oh my
It flew
gosh.
by. Yeah, it is so good to see all you guys. I'm sorry I couldn't be there. It would have been fun to have the four of us just hang out.
I know. I wish
Yes.
next we'll make it happen. We'll
We'll
make
do
it
it next
happen at
time.
some point. Next
Yeah,
time.
we'll make a way. We'll find
I
a way. to do
wish there was any way we could all finagle ourselves to JP,
Oh, yeah,
but
that would be
no,
great.
That's what
I
I
don't
said
think
on
that's
Twitter.
gonna happen.
that. Yeah, no, that is gonna be a tough one. Some people may be able to get over there, but I don't. It's tough. Like I would love for it to happen because I think that would be really cool. But I can't even imagine what that fan fest is going to be. It's probably a huge deal to everyone over at SE as well, because it's the final, charge going into the expansion and the 10-year anniversary and everything else.
Right.
So we'll see how that goes. I didn't watch the JP semifinals. I know they had that recently.
Watched a
Uh,
little bit of it.
Last
Yeah.
weekend, right?
Yeah,
I didn't catch that either.
I need to actually watch through it all. I only have seen snippets, but it was really good.
Yeah.
And the production quality was like very good, very good.
I mean, that's home base.
Yeah.
So they gotta have good-
Yeah, their commentator goes to the office.
Yeah,
Sosa's,
they have
there.
a really serious esports commentator, hardcore in the JP scene that's going over there. It's also like a comedian too, I think. I don't.
Yeah, he did JPFRC.
Yeah, he did JPF.
Mhm.
Yeah, which I feel pretty good because I made that, to me, was a dumb video. I did the best I could, and I don't think I do a good job, but I made that PvP. I remember back in the day when we were doing the commentary for NAEU, and I was like, I don't want to explain Feast live to people. And so I made a video, and I was like, can we just play this video? They did it for NA and EU, and then they were like, hey, can we use your video for JP? And I was like, okay, sure.
Yeah.
And so I tried to make it look better, and I gave them all the files, and they translated everything to Japanese on it. And the dude live, I guess, spoke over the video, explaining everything that was happening in the video, explaining the mode and everything, and presenting it there. And then they showed a little picture of me on the screen. I was like, yeah. That was the closest I ever got to JP
That's
FanFest. The closest. I hope one day to make it out there though. But yeah, guys, I'm glad we could all kind of have this shared experience and everything. It's such a wild ride with this. I'm wanting to see more of it. I know they've done some online events, kind of every once in a while. They've done like the Community Cup, right? NA Community Cup, the EU Community Cup. Hopefully they start having more of those throughout the year. So maybe we'll have 2 or 3 of those before the next Fan Fest. And at least that would be something too. But it would be nice to have something integrated within the system to help lead up to those Community Cups and those events. because that would inspire people to keep teams, be like organized about it. I mean, we still have a team system in the game, right?
It's still there, yeah.
What is that? They didn't use it for
That was one of my
anything.
questions. That was one of my questions to the media, but didn't get chosen.
Yeah. But is there anything else you guys wanted to go over about your experiences? You know, going on stage, working with the PvP stuff. You know, this whole journey that kind of got you there, and maybe how you guys are even feeling after all of it. Anything you want to throw out there?
I mean, getting off of stage was a very mixed bag of feelings. Kind of the same reaction you had, Frosty. It's like, oh my god, this was horrible. Oh my god, what happened? Where did we go wrong?
Oh my god.
I was like, as soon as the adrenaline leaves your body, it's like, okay, no, this was actually pretty good. I think we did a good job. And as soon as you got wound down, you got mic'd down and got rid of all the tech stuff. You were back on the media room and then back out on the floor. It's like, yeah, okay, no, this was great.
Okay.
Yeah. As soon as I went down, I got out of the area and everything else, and I was just constantly stopped. Hey, great job. Hey, you did great. I was like, this is good. Thank you for all this. Right? This is really helping me out right now. So a lot of people stopped me to give me some at least positive words. And
we had a bunch of folks. This was so funny. We were gonna go like eat, and we were still in the outfits and everything. And as we were like going to eat, we just had like a wave of people come and want to take pictures with us.
Oh, yeah.
And I was just like, oh my gosh, okay. And as we were walking around, like you were saying, everybody was so supportive and kind and so excited about it, and like that just feeds the soul. It's so wonderful.
It does, yes.
Yeah, it helps out a ton. By the way, how did you guys communicate? Like, were you just planning out, this is exactly what we want to do with our outfits and everything else? Like, how did you come to that conclusion?
I think our outfit journey is quite the story, because Rook, you initially had a really cool idea that we wanted to do that didn't quite work out.
Next time, we will get them to approve it. It's not a secret. We can talk about it. So this past year, I have been learning kimono kitsuke, which is like where you learn the proper way to style and dress kimono. And I know this shop that does these incredible custom kimono. And so we were going to get 2 kimono, but with crystalline conflict designs in red and blue, and then wear them. We were both like really excited about it, but because of the, I think it's fine to.
It was too short notice, basically.
Short notice, yeah. We would have had to like approach them months and months in advance with like actual visuals of them to get them approved, essentially.
Yeah.
So just because of how it works with the offices communicating and JP offices having to sign off on things. So then we ended up diverging to a different path where we wanted to do the different colors. I think it still worked out amazingly. You looked so good, Lythi. You look beautiful.
You guys
your
look
skirt,
fantastic.
I loved it.
Excuse
100%.
me, your suit was amazing. Yeah. No, we kind of ran with the color coordination. Like I knew I at least wanted to do the kind of red and blue theme for Umbrella and Astro. And ultimately it kind of just came down to, okay, Rook, what color do you want? I'll take the other one, basically. And as we came up to the last few weeks to FanFest, Julia and Kevin were like, hey guys, we're gonna do red and blue suits as well. So suddenly it's like, okay, the entire commentary team was color coordinated, which was really cool. So in the end, I think
Yeah,
it was good.
I remember when we were talking about it originally, Brian and I. I was like, I'll just do what I did last time. I showed him pictures. Like, man, your pants are so wrinkly. It's like, well, you really gonna do that?
I said baggy.
I said baggy. It's like, oh man, now I gotta go buy some pants, dude.
No, I'm helping him.
Throwing shade. Brian, like, Frosty, you can wear those baggy pants.
Yeah, it's like, gosh, darn it.
And then I said, if you look bad, you make me look better. So it's okay.
I mean,
so I was
Brian,
like-
your sense of style is always on point. So
Yeah, you did great. And I was like, I am going to go the route I'm comfortable with. I got my sports jacket on. I got my little FanFest gamer shirt, underneath it. I got my nice pants.
Yes, it
Right?
was great.
It did. I had my gosh, what do I even call this? I don't ever wear my the shoes. God,
Was it the Puma one?
No, I didn't bring the Puma one. I did wear the Puma ones around. They were nice. I still have them. I wear them around every once in a while. But they're just the basic nice dress school shoes. What do you call them? Why am I so old and stupid?
loafers.
Not loafers. The gosh,
Just your standard suit shoes, basically.
sort of.
I don't-
Yeah,
I don't
I'd
think
have
they
to.
have an actual name.
Yeah,
I'm sure they do somewhere.
do.
I just don't. I don't know that.
my brain isn't working anymore though.
Don't worry.
But I wore that and I felt pretty good about it. I felt like I looked fine. I was happy with them. And Brian dressed up the way that he was. And it turned out we were kind of blue versus red at that point.
That was
too.
pink.
Or
It's in the
off
color
red,
family.
off blue. I was really dark blue.
What we should have actually done
Yeah.
is a follow-up podcast where Brian just scored our looks and tore us a new one.
Oh, yes.
Everyone was amazing and great.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess just Frosty, to circle back to what you were saying, like final thoughts about FanFest.
Yeah.
Aside from the garments and everything else, I just my gosh, how do I even encapsulate the feelings that I want to put into words? It's wild to me because the first time I ever commentated was for you. It was for World First Race. And I had no idea what to expect. And from there, it just took off with, having a lot of opportunities to be able to do this and discover such a passion for it. And I mean, of course, Brian, with all your knowledge in the PvP scene, that's all stuff that I've sponged up, and I'm like, yes, let me sneak and live in Brian's. But also with Lythi, who again is just an incredible friend and somebody that I have been so lucky to co-commentate with so much with your experience and all the knowledge that you've shared. That again has just been such an asset. This whole journey and all of its steps from the day that I bought this game to deciding to stream it, to falling in love with this world and the community, to discovering a passion for something like commentating and these big, large-scale events and entertainment events that we have. It's unbelievable to me that just the decision to play this game that I love every single step has led me here. And to stand on the stage with everyone, and to know that, Frosty, even though you couldn't be at EU, to know that you were there in spirit, we messaged and to have everybody there. And even when you were both casting and I came up in the front of the stage and I was like, before you started, it's incredible to me because what people might have seen was just us on the stage at FanFest. Maybe they don't know anything about our content creation, but ultimately we are players and we loved this game and we fell in love with it. And it was one of the greatest honors of my entire journey in life to be on that stage and to share that stage even internationally with all of you. And to know that even if we don't realize it, the journeys that we take in games we love are so worthwhile. And a single interaction, a single kind word with anybody that I met that weekend, or even just a smile exchanged, was something that I just treasure because the love this game has given me back in ways that I can't even quantify has made such a difference in my life. The people it's brought me in contact with, and the steps that have brought me here. This is messy. It's just
No.
Genuinely, I dreamed of going to FanFest for so many years, and for the year that I got to go to my first FanFest to also be a year that I was on the stage and that I shook Yoshida-san's hand was something that truly was one of the most humbling and most amazing. I get emotional about everything. This is just who I am.
I'm just remembering us walking back from the photo session afterwards, and you were like, "Oh my god, I shook his hand. I'm never watching this again."
That's a dirty hand you have there, Rook.
I had to be so professional, but all I wanted was a picture with Yoshida-san.
Oh my god, I was the same.
So we waited until the appropriate moment. We were allowed to do it. We were allowed, but like I am so in awe of what he has done in this game and of the whole team. And yeah, as I won't babble anymore, but really genuinely the depth of emotion that I feel for this game and the amount of love I feel for this community, and the extreme honor that this was just incredible. And I don't know, I mean, with all of you, it's probably, we all processed it in different ways. And it's easy to feel that self-consciousness when, you feel like, oh my gosh, like I'm just one nerd that loves this stupid game. Like why did I get to do that? But at the same time, it was incredible seeing all of us up there and all of you and being there with the community. And I'm just so grateful beyond words.
Yeah.
So.
You deserved every. But by the way, Rook, 100%. A lot of stuff that I do, like the world race, everything else, I just wanted to do it because a lot of community convinced me, right? I had a lot of inspiration to push forward and try to organize and make it work and figure it all out. And you guys coming on and doing your part just to be there is really just, all I'm fucking doing is offering a spot for you to talk. You did everything. It was just there, and you did all the work. So everything that you've gotten ever is because of you, Rook, and you being there. So I appreciate you saying that 100%. I was talking to I was talking to Alex and I was talking to Husky just a couple days ago. And we were talking about a similar thing with them going on stage and doing all this stuff. And I told them, they weren't on stage just for themselves. They were on stage for the community, right? Their representation for the Final Fantasy XIV community. So it meant a lot for everyone to see them on stage. And I feel like there's a lot of people in the Final Fantasy XIV community that feel the same way about you, Rook. And, Lythi, Brian, all you guys, and 100% seeing you up there is seeing the Final Fantasy XIV community on stage. And it is a shared experience for a lot of people. 100. When you saw Alex Mukala and Husky on stage, it felt good, right?
Yes,
good.
I almost cried.
So that similar feeling exists in the positions you guys were in as well. I'm certain of it. So, all right. Good luck, Brian Lythi. Follow it up.
Much like Brian and fashion, I'm going to be ranking you all on your
No, please don't. But no, I'll say though, I definitely appreciate you guys a lot. Lythi, we did the EU commentary for the Community Cup together, and you helped me a lot, like improve, because this is something I just like. I've been a PvP guy, but I never did commentary at that level until you helped me. So I appreciate you a ton. Frosty, we've been together in the PvP community for so long. And if it wasn't for you, a lot of stuff that I've done wouldn't have happened, like making the Discord. And I feel that way.
Okay.
At least. And then Rook, we've been like streamer buddies for a long time, 8th Internet stream team. And you've always been so kind and supportive to my content. So appreciate you. Love you.
I love you too.
Yeah. And then being on stage, it was the craziest things I've ever done. I was super confident about it. The only nerves I had was like the technical stuff, but I'm super happy I did it. And definitely I felt like I was representing not only the PvP community, but like Black people, because there's not a lot of minorities in gaming in general. Funny enough, we had like hair and makeup people. I wasn't sure like if they would be able to do my hair.
Oh my gosh!
You were very cautious about that. I remember that.
Yeah. Luckily, they had like someone who was just like a local to Vegas, and she's like, "Yeah, I got you," and she did great. And
yeah, they did my hair too. I was like, all right, I might have some scalp showing. I might be a little bit shiny here, and they just went to town and just made sure I didn't look too stupid up there, and I was very, very happy about it. So they even took a lint roller and they were getting all the lint off, and they were just making sure I was like,
fancy.
I'm very satisfied. So
they like trimmed your facial hair.
They were trimming like my facial hair. Like it's crazy right now. They like made sure it was cleaned up a little bit, and I was just like, man, I am very lucky for these people to try to make myself look better for this quick moment while I'm on stage.
I was stubbly, so they didn't touch my facial hair. But yeah, they were super great. And I was super happy that they actually had stuff for my hair and my tone. I
Yeah.
Big thank you to Square Enix for the opportunity.
Yeah. All right, Lythi.
Oh
It's all
god.
you.
It's like there isn't much left to say that has been already said, right?
Yeah.
No, it's I very much share the sentiment. It was a crazy experience. It was absolutely magical. I'm forever grateful for the opportunity, for you guys being along for the journey and at my side, or letting me be at your side. It's just like at the same vein that I'm able to maybe give some input and some inspiration for commentary. I'm learning from you guys in regards to the community, the PvP itself, how the game works, and just chatting and sharing experiences just means so much, and I'm so grateful that everyone is so open to that. And of course, being able to be kind of my own person for representation as well, having people come up to me afterwards and tell me that they're incredibly happy that someone like me was on stage for this. It's just, it warms my heart. It's the reason why I do this, and I'm just very glad I am in the position where I'm able to do something like this, and I'm forever grateful for that.
Mm-hmm. And I'm grateful, for all of you guys for being a part of everything that we've been doing in the community recently too. We've been, MogTalk's done a lot of stuff, and without you guys being involved in the world race, even with the C3 stuff and everything else, it wouldn't be near the quality that it was. So you guys all deserve everything that you've gotten and where you are right now with, being on stage and everything else. And I'm hoping more of that comes your way as well, because it's still well earned and deserved.
Next one, we'll do it together. There we go.
Yes. Can you imagine just like all four of us? Or like, what if we switch out? Or like, I don't know what.
We'll figure out how all four of us go and commentate. Yeah. Well, all four of us go to the JP side, right? And then we're all commentating right here. And then Brian and I are commentating for, Team Umbra. And then you guys are doing Astral, and we're just sitting there. I'm like, yeah. We're all just like cheering. But then when the other team like does something great, we're just like, oh, it looks like they're getting kills and everything else. And they just like, oh, we're going to that thing where like the home team that comes.
Biased casters?
Yeah, the biased casting.
That would never happen.
I love it. Look, I'm just saying, there's a way. Even if we like rotated hosting, commentating, I don't know, it would be amazing. Bring that JP action or just whatever. It would just be fun. It's just great.
I am personally hoping that the PvE competitive scene makes it some way to FanFest or some bigger scene or something, so we can commentate that as well, because that is something that I'm extremely passionate about. And I think and Brian's not. We can, it's whatever.
Yeah, Brian can get out. But the rest of us.
No,
the bigger the game is, the bigger PvP would be too. So please.
But thank you all for coming on and talk to me today as well. This has been a fantastic conversation. I'm glad we had a second to kind of catch up and go over stuff. This is a huge highlight, and then we have the JP FanFest coming up around more information, and we're gonna have Don Trail and holy crap. They already said they're going to have more Criterion, more Savage, more Ultimates, and maybe even more. Maybe we'll even do Deep Dungeon racing at that point, right? Because they're going to have new Deep Dungeon. There's going to be so much to do that we're going to be very active. I'm going to be trying to provide as much of that scene as I can. And I have recently, due to the Criterion stuff, figured out a lot of stuff with stream controls, going through chat commands and remote controls and stuff. So there's a possibility for events overall to evolve, but we will see. I'm super excited for the future, and hopefully for you guys, for all the people who are inspiring to do commentary and everything that's in the PvP communities, PvE communities, everywhere, that we can create something that's really cool within the next couple of years, because it's going to be a wild ride coming up. I know we're in a lull, but this is all prep for the burst that's happening here.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up. We're going to get this on YouTube as soon as we can. I thank everybody for coming and watching and listening to us kind of chat up and talk. You guys have been fantastic as well. And until next time, we'll see y'all later. Everybody say bye and wave. Bye.
Thanks for having us. Bye.